I didn't lose everything because of failure. I lost everything because I trusted the wrong people. And that mistake almost cost me my future. There was a time in my life when everything felt like it was finally working. The struggle I had endured for years, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the discipline, it was all starting to pay off. Opportunities were opening. Money was coming in. And for the first time, I felt like I was in control of my life. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building. Every decision I made seemed to move me forward. Every risk I took brought a reward. And slowly, I started believing something dangerous. That I had figured it all out. Confidence grew. Then it turned into comfort. And with success came something else. People. New faces. New connections. New relationships. People who supported me. People who believed in me. People who wanted to be part of what I was building. At least, that's what I thought. Because when you're rising, it's easy to assume that everyone around you is there for the right reasons. You don't question loyalty. You don't question intentions. You just trust. And I trusted fully. I shared ideas. I gave access. I opened doors. Because I believed we were building something together. But what I didn't realize at the time was that not everyone who stands with you during your rise is there to see you succeed. The people closest to me weren't strangers. They were the ones I saw regularly. The ones I spoke to often. The ones I relied on. That's what made it harder to see the truth. Because trust doesn't come from logic. It comes from familiarity. From shared moments. From conversations. From the feeling that someone understands you. And I believed they did. We talked about the future. We made plans. We built ideas together. Or at least, I thought we did. Because in my mind, we were aligned. We wanted the same things. We were moving in the same direction. We were building something meaningful. And because of that belief, I lowered my guard. I stopped questioning things. I stopped paying attention to details. I assumed loyalty where I should have verified it. And that was my first mistake. Because trust without awareness is vulnerability. Looking back now, the signs were always there. Small things at first. Subtle inconsistencies. Conversations that didn't fully add up. Moments that felt slightly off, but not enough to confront. And every time I noticed something, I dismissed it. I told myself I was overthinking. I chose peace over clarity. I chose comfort over truth. Because it's easier to ignore a red flag than to question someone you trust. But those small signs, they weren't random. They were warnings. And I ignored them. Again and again. Until ignoring them became a habit. And that habit cost me more than I was prepared to lose. It didn't happen all at once. Betrayal rarely does. It started small. A decision made without me. Information kept from me. A move that didn't align with what we agreed on. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Because accepting betrayal means accepting that your trust was misplaced. And that's not easy. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The energy had changed. The alignment we once had was gone. And for the first time, I started questioning everything. Once the cracks started showing, everything unraveled faster than I expected. What used to feel smooth suddenly became complicated. Decisions that once moved us forward started creating confusion. Plans we had agreed on were quietly changed. And the more I paid attention, the clearer it became. Something was wrong. Not just slightly off. Completely misaligned. At first, I tried to hold things together. I had invested too much to walk away easily. Time. Energy. Trust. So I kept pushing. Kept trying to fix what was breaking. But the truth is, you can't fix something that was never solid to begin with. And slowly, everything started falling apart. Opportunities we worked for disappeared. Partnerships became strained. Momentum slowed, then stopped. And what hurt the most wasn't the loss itself. It was the realization that it could have been avoided. If I had paid attention earlier. If I had asked harder questions. If I had trusted my instincts. But I didn't. I trusted blindly. And now, I was paying the price for it. Because when trust is misplaced, the cost is never small. There's always a moment when everything becomes clear. For me, it wasn't loud. It didn't come with confrontation or chaos. It came in silence. A quiet realization that settled in deeply. They were never aligned with me. That thought didn't hit all at once. It unfolded slowly. Piece by piece. Every action I had ignored started making sense. Every red flag I dismissed became obvious. And suddenly, I wasn't confused anymore. I understood. And that understanding was painful. Because it meant accepting something I didn't want to believe. That the people I trusted most were not who I thought they were. And in that moment, denial ended. Excuses disappeared. And reality took its place. I had been building with people who didn't share my vision. People who didn't value loyalty the way I did. People who were close, but not committed. And that realization changed me. The loss wasn't just financial. It was emotional. Because betrayal doesn't just take what you built. It breaks something inside you. It makes you question your judgment, your awareness, your ability to read people. And that kind of doubt is dangerous. Because once it sets in, it spreads. I started replaying everything. Every conversation. Every decision. Every moment I ignored my instincts. And the hardest part? Knowing that deep down, I had felt it. But I chose to ignore it. Because I wanted things to work. Because I believed in the idea of us. But betrayal doesn't care about intention. It only reveals truth. And the truth was, I trusted the wrong people. For a while, I withdrew. I became quieter. More guarded. Less open. Not because I wanted to be, but because I needed to process what happened. Because when trust is broken, it takes time to rebuild. But staying in that space would have destroyed me. So I made a decision. A difficult one. But a necessary one. I walked away. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But out of clarity. Because I realized something powerful. You can't grow in environments that are built on misalignment. And holding on would only delay my progress. So I let go of the partnerships, of the connections, of the version of the future I had imagined with them. And that wasn't easy. Because letting go doesn't just mean losing people. It means releasing expectations, dreams, plans. But sometimes, losing the wrong people is how you make space for the right path. And once I made that decision, something shifted. I felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because I was no longer holding on to what was breaking me. This time, I didn't rebuild the same way. I rebuilt with awareness. I became more selective, more intentional, more observant. I paid attention to actions, not just words. Alignment, not just connection. Because I learned something important. Not everyone deserves access to your vision. Trust became something I earned, not assumed. And slowly, I started building again. Stronger foundations. Clearer boundaries. Better decisions. And this time, everything felt different. Not faster. Not easier. But more solid. Because I wasn't just building success. I was building it the right way. Looking back now, I don't regret what happened. Because the lesson was more valuable than the loss. I learned that trust is powerful, but it must be protected. I learned that alignment matters more than familiarity. And I learned that ignoring red flags always comes at a cost. But most importantly, I learned this. The wrong people can delay your journey, but they cannot define your outcome. Because if you're willing to learn, to adapt, to rebuild, then nothing you lose is ever wasted. Listen. Losing everything didn't break me. Trusting the wrong people, that's what taught me. If you're watching this right now, learn from my mistake. Don't wait until it costs you everything. Your action steps. Step 1, pay attention to actions. Don't trust words alone. Consistency reveals truth. Step 2, don't ignore red flags. If something feels off, it probably is. Your instincts are there for a reason. Step 3, protect your vision. Not everyone deserves access to what you're building. Move smart, not emotional. Step 4, choose alignment over familiarity. Just because someone is close doesn't mean they are right for your journey. One wrong person can delay your life, but the right mindset will always rebuild it. Choose wisely. If this opened your eyes, subscribe now to Billionaire Backstories. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We show you how to avoid mistakes that cost everything. And if you've ever been betrayed, comment, I move different now.